Let's see, make sure everything is working. And we are burning the midnight oil. It's always very late. It just can't, I just can't help it. Life, we've been doing this for over 4 years. And, you know, it's in the evening, during the night, no time to sleep. That's when we have time to do all of this because we're also working behind the scenes, putting together, um, letter after letter after letter because we have to document all the crimes that we have uncovered. And we've identified all these crimes. Also, huge suspicions, and that requires FOIAs and everything. So we have to submit all of this uh, to make sure that our agencies and our institutions that are supposed to be investigating and prosecuting and all of this will do their job. And it takes a lot of pushing, a lot of driving for them to do their jobs because things are very, very, very political. And you see that with what President Trump is doing. It's very clear. Um, you can see it with what President Trump is dealing with. And, it's the same with us. It's the same with us. You have to absolutely go back and forth, and just put, it's kind of like football. I really love football. Um, used to watch it all the time. When I was younger, when I was in high school, right? In high school, after high school, I kind of left it behind. But I've always really loved the game. Um, but never had time for it, right? Never had time to really, I don't know, I just had other things that I was doing, and anyway. So yeah, let's see if I'm on. But this is a lot like football, You say, okay, let's go 10 yards. Let's go 10 yards. Let's see, four chances to go 10 yards, right? Sometimes you lose the ball and then you have to fight hard to get the ball back, and just keep pushing forward and driving the ball to the goal. And of course, our goal is to have accountability, and that accountability will include the return of our son's remains. And we've been pushing and pushing and pushing. We already have it established legally that he gets full honors. Um, I submitted that. I have this paperwork here where it says Halliday Richard was found in the line of duty. That's in quotes, in the line of duty at the time of death. So they found him in the line of duty. They found him dead in the line of duty at the time of his death. Um, at the time of his death. So they found that in the time of his death, he died in the line of duty. So that is amazing. It took us, we received this the 24th of January. I think a little after this, the date on this, Human Resource Command, DDPRAR 1664. Um, this form here, which is a DD form 1300, uh, is, it's taken a while for us to really think through everything that it means, right? That it means. And and what we have to battle um going forward next. It's like, the huddle in football. You've gotten this goal, you've gotten this goal, you've gotten this goal, and you have to drive them, and they have to be driven, and this has to be made to hold those accountable. Those who did this accountable. It has to be. Um, and for us, and this is really something going through this, a lot of prayers, a lot of prayers. You get very, very close to God during these things. It's very hard to explain because God is everywhere. God is just like I put up for St. Patrick's Day. You see God everywhere. You see Him beside you. You see Him in front of you. You see Him behind you. You see Him in Fort Bliss. You see Him in the flowers. You see Him on the road. You see Him everywhere above you. You see Him all around you everywhere during during this case, especially. Um, and so, going through it, the paperwork, you just feel it, right? You feel it and you have to pray. You just have to get down on your belly, you just have to get down on your belly and pray because, today's prayer was for President Trump. Um, and, I didn't decide to do that. It's just that's where the Spirit led. It was for President Trump because absolutely he's doing something. And it's an enormous task to drive the system, the deep state out, and the system to be justice focused again, to be focused on our rights and our human rights and our God given rights and to be focused on justice. It's a huge task after everything that we've gone through because not only did they mess with the law and put in these absolute political judges that are absolutely acting outside their authority and need to be impeached. I believe they absolutely need to be impeached. They're just political activists. You see Judge David Guadarrama, he's absolutely political because there's no other explanation for all the evidence that we have. He was so up to no good in the Walmart case, in the Walmart um, everything, in the Walmart everything. Um, and that means that if he is manipulated in that way for that case, what other cases is he manipulated? He was willing to absolutely sentence to do this plea deal with Patrick Crusius, knowing that there's mitigating evidence, knowing um, all of these conflicts of interest. And he was willing to give him 7,000 years at the Alcatraz of the Rockies. Um, it is just absolutely so criminal and also reveals before you get outraged by the absolute evil of it. Um, but it just declares the evidence shows that this is a political judge, not neutral, but political, and not for the United States of America, but for the cartel criminal activity that is going on there at the border. And it's just absolutely hard evidence. Can you imagine I can say that on a live stream? Can you imagine I can say that on a live stream? Because the evidence shouts it, screams it. It's not even, up for debate. So this is needs to be said, and these political activist judges that are up to no good behind the scenes, in their own families and in their own, in their own courthouse and Judge Guadarrama's. Can you imagine Patrick Crucius's brother is married to the judge's um, court manager's daughter? It's just, you cannot even make this stuff up. It's just so egregious, so egregious. Um, so, you know, our prayers absolutely led to pray for President Trump. And of course, that is then our country, because being the President of the United States, he absolutely represents our country. And I don't think we're embarrassed anymore. I think we might be a little bit on edge because we think, oh my gosh, what if he doesn't succeed? What if he doesn't succeed? We're going to be ruled by a bunch of orcs that, have no moral compass at all, no love for justice, no love for our country, no love for infrastructure. They're just thieves. They're just thieves. And they're just traffickers. They're just human rights abusers, child abusers. They're just child abusers. Look at what has happened. Hundreds of thousands of children. And, where is the moral outrage from all of them about these children that are mostly dead? you know, Coming through Juarez, Mexico, into El Paso and through Fort Bliss at the emergency intake center. So it was happening before 2021, but it absolutely ratcheted up. It just exploded there. And that death camp on Fort Bliss could hold 10,000 at one time. 10,000 children at one time. Can you believe it? They were trafficked. It just is unbelievable. It's just, and so, you know, uh, our prayers definitely go to President Trump on this, and I also put up other verses. There's a lot of verses that just go through your head, and um, but the point of them is that Jesus was a teacher, right? He was a teacher, and he taught about sin. And the main point that he taught about sin, when you really look at the verses, I think every one of them, I think every one that he pointed out was a sin of omission. You know, um, I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was naked and you didn't clothe me. Um, a sin of omission, things that we did not do, that we knew that we needed to do. And in this case, Richard was an absolute hero because he was the soldier, the Fort Bliss soldier that did not commit the sin of omission. He absolutely blew the whistle. He absolutely stood up for these children. He absolutely stood up to the cartel uh, weapons and ammunition trafficking and smuggling. He absolutely stood up to what was going on in the barracks and Boleyn Roach's life. Boleyn Roach is the first one to make us aware that Richard was a whistleblower because she absolutely told us that Richard reported to the Child Protective Service multiple times. So, and she was mad at him for that, right? She was mad at him for that, uh, you know. But Richard wasn't about her being mad. Um, he was not about to commit the sin of omission. He knew what was right, and he whistleblew. And that is, he's a hero. And I will say this, out of these judges that are just so absolutely out of their mind, um, out of their position, out of the, just political. Then you have another hero, another anomaly, another patriot, another um, ethical, moral judge, Judge Roger Rodriguez, who also would not stand by and not do anything. He absolutely blew the whistle, and he submitted his report to the FBI, to FBI Jesus Eddie Nieto Jr. He did that, and to many others. He submitted his whistleblower report in his official capacity as a officer of the court to um, Major General Sean Bernabe, to all the other agencies like the FBI, um, Washington, and Paxton, the Texas AG, and on and on. And how do I know this? Because um, in January of 2022, I was sitting outside of a hospital about to go in to uh, take care of my dad. It was just crazy then. They couldn't find enough workers. Hold on. So, so I'll get so emotional, y'all. I get so emotional every day, even after 4 years. And I'm not allowed to get emotional, but it is. I was sitting in the van just about to go in, and the phone rings in the van. I remember sitting in the van, and I didn't even have paper or pen with me or anything. Now I don't go anywhere without everything. But at that time, I was just really worried about my dad, and the phone rings, and he says, "Is this Patricia Halliday?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "My name is Judge Roger Rodriguez, and um, do you have a piece of paper and a pen? You need to write this down." And all I had was a napkin. All I had was a napkin. I did have a pen, and I started writing on the napkin. And he told me that he was a whistleblower in Richard's case, and what it was all about. And and can you believe that? Can you believe that that's how that happened? Instead of the FBI or Richard's command, Sean Bernabe had my phone number, had Rob's phone number, and calling and saying, you know what, we have a whistleblower now. But they didn't. No, they proceeded to leak that whistleblower report, and they proceeded to whitewash it. Whitewash it. Thank God that Judge Roger Rodriguez filed it with many, many agencies that they could not hide it. So that is why um, there was attacks on by Danae's family, credit card girl Danae's, and Danae's family is also, uh, right there in Richard's unit, um, right there on Bliss Avenue. So, and then of course Leilani Hart, and they're all connected with this. Well, Leilani Hart confessed, didn't she? She confessed to this, uh, the worst type of crimes against children. And that absolutely corroborated all the child trafficking, the hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked, and her really wanting to have a badge, and um, having this Hart childcare, because they were desperate for childcare, and for, her friend's child being the worst crime committed against a child in Leilani's house, in Leilani's master bedroom, by um, multiple members of her household. And that multiple members of her household include Dallas Hart, Richard's platoon leader, which they wanted to deny for so long, and they can't deny it. Dallas Hart was Richard's platoon leader. And so, you see how the retaliation went with Richard, or retaliation against our family, retaliation against Judge Roger Rodriguez. They tried to discredit, they tried to put out lies. And of course, the criminal trafficking, the child trafficking is hundreds of thousands of children. This is, billions of dollars. I think it's like $90 billion a year. And it, housing on Fort Bliss 10,000 children at a time in this death camp. And don't believe me, go look at, just Google it, or go to another search, go AI it, right? And you will absolutely find the despicable conditions on Fort Bliss. That's Jules Tuganon Chan. That is Ann Ogle. That is Director of Emergency Services Thomas Kane. That is the Child Protective Services. That is those that are entrusted to take care of these 10,000. Can you imagine 10,000 children? 10,000 children at one time at this death camp? Can you imagine? I just can't even imagine. And they're just now mostly dead. And hundreds of thousands went through there. Hundreds of thousands. Um, these are not unaccompanied, like they say. Oh, these are, well, they're unaccompanied because they're taken. They're unaccompanied because they're taken. And this is where the pilot, Dolores Montanez, she's a pilot. That is confirmed, and a VA agent, a Veterans Administrative agent. This is confirmed, right? Um, And, it just makes you wonder because of Deborah Sarah West, Dallas Hart, and all of their learning how to fly and everything, and it coming from Santa Teresa International Jetport, where we have it confirmed there that it is up to no good, many, many problems there. And of course, with the El Chapo situation, well, not the El Chapo, the El Mayo situation that went through there, and El Chapo's son, right? And all of that happened. Um, the airport is up to no good. And what did we hear from Tucker, even what we have been saying? They were transporting these children in planes all over to wealthy individuals that had, I mean, you hear stories of the P. Diddy stuff, right? You hear stories of the other the island, right? And you're like, they're flying these children all over to these wealthy perverts that have, absolutely no good intention for these children. And they, don't record it. Don't, they don't document. And, it's like, but wait a minute, they have to document some because they want the money, right? They want the money. So Richard is a total hero. And with this document here, which is the DD Form 1300, they're saying here, Halliday Richard was found, quote, in the line of duty, quote, at the time of death per AR 600 8 4. Now, you know, that is huge because what it's saying is that he was encountering this these risks. He was encountering these crimes. He was encountering something that was um, violent to him, right? He was doing something and it's saying that not only something that you're ordered to do, but that's something that the law of God tells you to do. Uh, he was doing his duty. He was doing his duty as a soldier, as a U.S. Army soldier in the line of duty. And he was encountering something dangerous, something that would put his life at risk. And that is how he was murdered. And it just and our information that we're getting in is that they forcibly removed him because of being a whistleblower, right? And they forcibly removed him and they murdered him. And this is after retaliation, severe retaliation for months that he had to undergo. And it's just amazing to us because he was so strong. He was so strong. Um, and they were just so evil. Um, so, what this paperwork is telling you is that we just had a huge legal victory that we even have to wrap our heads around, right? That he was murdered in the line of duty on Fort Bliss as a whistleblower, as doing his duty uh, as ordered or just innately. And what this is doing is changing the whole legal framework in the military for Richard and for others, especially for whistleblowers. Um, and I think when we it's a touchdown. It's a touchdown. But the game is not over yet, right? The game is not over. This is a touchdown, and we have to, push forward to get the accountability now because it doesn't answer, but it does give um, the ability to do that, to answer who did this. And so, it really makes us huddle and rethink what do we need to do to get the next touchdown. And we have really trained, meaning we have investigated, we have documented, we have organized, we have laid the groundwork. We're not coming into this game out of shape, right? Without practice, without memorizing the moves, and we knew exactly what we're going to do to kick, what we're going to do to punt, what we're going to do to pass, what we're going to do, um, uh, you know, in our blocking and everything. And so we're absolutely ready for this next touchdown because the evidence is just robust. That's what we were told. Robust amount of evidence. And that will be um, vital to getting accountability and to get Richard's remains home. Home. So that is, pray for President Trump because it really is very important that he has wisdom to deal with these judges, right? The judges, the judicial system, and I'm even wondering, should he do like a FOIA to see if they're even installed properly? Because let me tell you, we're having a real problem in El Paso for legitimate leadership. The El Paso criminal law magistrate, they are not legitimate leadership. They're not legitimate judges there. They are just appointed. They can't be appointed according to the Texas Constitution. They have to be elected because that court has full jurisdiction. Any court with that kind of power, with full jurisdiction, the Texas Constitution requires that those judges be elected, and they're not. So they have no legitimacy. And then the DA's office has no legitimacy um, unless they deal with James Montoya, who is totally illegitimate. He's totally a criminal now because he tampered with official documents. And there is not a doubt in my mind that 2028 hasn't happened yet. And how can that stamp be be the stamp of when he submitted any document? Because it hasn't even happened yet. So the documents are fraudulent. They're tampered with. He has not installed properly. He did not submit his statement of officer before the oath of office, which is absolutely uh, the main point in all of this. Because if you do not submit the promise to the the Texas people that you did not take a bribe, which is the statement of officer, if you do not promise them that you are not coming into this position without a bribe, without loyalty to others, that you are absolutely for justice, for the Texas people, for doing your duty properly. If you can't do that, you can't take the oath. Period. You have to submit the statement of officer, your anti bribery statement, your promise to the Texas people before you can take the oath of office. If you do not, according to the Texas Constitution, you have no legitimacy. You're not installed properly. You're nothing. You are absolutely nothing. And I don't even know why the way they fill out the forms is so weird too. Like he just puts DA. DA is not a position. You're the 34th Judicial District Attorney. That's a position. They don't even fill it out right. It's crazy that, and I mean that's just a little thing because it's already null and void because he didn't turn in the statement of officer before his oath. And the same thing with Bill Hicks. And then they go and try to tamper and everything like that to fool you or whatever, but they can't. They can't fool you. It's right there. The stamps are right there. They can't, even if they tamper with the timestamps, it, uh, they just make mistakes. You can't. It right? And so then others are now seems like it that they're not installed properly. So you have a DA's office that is not legitimate. You have a magistrate court that's not legitimate. You have a federal courthouse that is totally conflicted out, which is illegal, which is criminal, right? And then we can go into the chief medical examiner, absolutely illegal. So and then where is the media talking about this illegitimacy and all these conflicts of interest? Um, it's because they are so desperate for money or they're already owned, like El Paso Matters is funded by El Paso Community Foundation, and El Paso Community Foundation is up to no good. And so there's a book that was written by Megan Basham, about these non-government organizations that claim to be Christian organizations that, falsely claim to be Christian organizations, falsely claim to be Catholic organizations. You know, it's so evil what they do. It's so evil. It's what they did to Richard, what they did to our family, what they did to Judge Rodriguez. They try to smear the good name by this smear tactic, and so they pose, they impersonate, and they just say they're falsely claim that they're Christian, and they're not. And they're funding very evil things with all of that trafficking money. It kind of flows, or contracting money. They put it back in there to keep their operation going, and then they fund these NGOs fund the criminal trafficking. And so this book, just corroborates what we have been saying all along. What we have been saying all along. So um, that's uh, just a lot going on behind the scenes. And I hope I explained it to you really well. And one of the last things that I want to say, and I need to say it every time, is that FBI agent Morales, John Morales, has absolutely no choice, has absolutely no excuses. He must ASAP arrest Leilani Hart, whatever her name is. She uses all these names. Whatever her name is. Leilani Hart, the mother of Richard's platoon leader, Dallas Hart. This woman, she's committed such egregious crimes that absolutely she needs to be arrested. And then others, this whole faking and impersonating and everything, that's in this case too, even more, that's coming up, and I'll explain that. um I'll explain it at a later time, but please remind me of what needs to be explained, of what's happening, and I absolutely will answer your questions. Thank you so much. Please share. This is very important information. Please share, and I will be back on tomorrow. God